Hello, my name is Rebecca Gomez, and I'm an Education Program Officer at the Heising Simons Foundation. We are proud to be a part of the Raising Childcare Fund, a consortium of funders contributing to the growing grassroots movement for early care and education in the United States. We think the fund provides the innovation capital necessary to seed breakthroughs in building public will for lasting change, and we're seeking new funder partners to join the pooled fund in order to accelerate a grassroots national movement. Let me tell you a little bit more about why the fund started and the kind of change we're supporting. We are doing this because there is a childcare crisis in this country. Finding and affording high-quality childcare is a challenge for most hardworking Americans. Despite years of research on the importance of early brain development and widespread understanding that quality childcare is too expensive for most families, the United States is still not making the public investments in childcare needed to have a meaningful impact. So a group of established private early childhood funders and experts asked, why? We concluded that a main reason is a lack of support for grassroots organizing for childcare. Rarely do we lift up the voices of those most affected by the national childcare crisis to be heard. It is even more rare for policy solutions to be centered in the experiences of families and teachers. Our first step was to find out where organizations were having an impact through organizing from the ground up. We found a groundswell of interest in childcare among grassroots groups around the country, and then we developed our investment thesis. We can only build will for change when we directly invest in groups working with families and early educators who can raise this issue with elected leaders and hold them accountable for investing in early care and education. The goal of this approach is to amplify the voices of those most affected by the status quo. So far, we've raised $1.9 million, and we've made one initial round of multi-year grants to 9 organizations building support for childcare. They are doing this by growing parent leaders, organizing the childcare workforce, and building statewide coalitions with allies such as faith-based organizations, early childhood advocates, and business. Our grantees are working on childcare as a part of a broader social, racial, and economic justice agenda. For example, in Georgia, 9 to 5 focused historically on working women's issues and started to hear from them that childcare is holding them back. They can't find it or afford it. 9 to 5 began holding pop-up sessions in places where families meet up, particularly in rural areas outside of the Atlanta metro region where the lack of affordable, high-quality childcare is most critical. Through their Raising Childcare Fund grant, they're hiring a community-based organizer to work with families and home-based childcare providers to identify the biggest challenges and potential solutions and bring them to state leaders. In recent decades, the early childhood community has made progress in crafting an evidence-based policy agenda. Now is the time to build a grassroots movement, to focus the public will to implement these solutions and ensure that they truly reflect community needs. Why? Because grassroots organizing around childcare has synergy with other movements for better pay, benefits, and working conditions for families with low incomes, such as an increased minimum wage and paid family leave. It is connected to broader civic engagement and has voter rights efforts and creates accountability for public officials to follow through on plans and promises. It builds leaders within communities who can speak to the need for social, racial, and economic justice. And in urgent situations requiring rapid response to protect the needs of children and families, grassroots power can enable a more equitable response. We are learning every day from movement leaders what it takes to build a grassroots movement for childcare and how it fits into the larger spectrum of work we're doing to strengthen children and families around the country. We've made a start, but 9 grantees won't get us to the tipping point we need to build a national movement. For every grant we've made, we've had to pass on 2 others, so we need your help. We are eagerly seeking national funders to join our pooled fund. We are also seeking local, state, and regional funders interested in learning more about partnering with nonprofits and other funders in their states to build capacity for grassroots organizing. Together, let's raise more voices of those most affected in this childcare crisis. Please join us.